Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to Divination Death Witch. I am Rayne, and today we are taking a look at the Antique Anatomy Tarot. Well, it's technically the Tarot Kit. This is the mass market version of the deck. It was published in September of 2019, and it is a publisher that I'm not used to, so let me look at the name again. Abrams Notary is who published this. The book is a short, it's not a very thick book, it's not a very in-depth book. The one thing I do like about the book is when you look at the cards, you'll see that they have flowers on them, and the colors, the creator, who is Claire Goodchild, by the way, she chose the colors for specific reasons, and it is talked about in the book. Now, I only have the deck here. Usually when I do deck walkthroughs, I show you guys the box that they come in and the guidebook and everything, but here's the deal with that. Getting in and out of that box to get this deck was a pain in my behind, and so I actually keep this in one of my, it's almost like a tarot bag, but it's the ones that you put the deck in and then you wrap it around. And when we moved, the box and the guidebook wound up going to our storage unit. Meanwhile, the deck is here with me because this is one of the decks that I use all of the time, especially for personal readings. And you can see, now don't be offended by my natural fingernails. We have something that we are doing next week, and I wanted to give my nails a break in between being done, just so that the actual nails themselves stay healthy. So I don't have any fancy nails today, but you can see how worn this deck is. That is all from me using it. That's real patina right there, because I do use this deck a lot. So yes, it does wear if you use it a lot. But I wanted to do a video for this deck, even though I didn't have the box and guidebook with me at the moment. Like I said, I use this deck a lot, but I've been using it even more lately, and I absolutely love it. Now, I was almost afraid to buy it because people kept complaining online and in tarot groups that the cardstock was so thin and it was horrible and everything. This is thicker than Llewellyn cardstock, and honestly, in my tarot practice, I've recently started shuffling my decks in a different way, and the Llewellyn decks are so easy for me to shuffle, right? Love it. And I've never really had an issue with Llewellyn cardstock. It works for me. This deck is really, like, I get blisters on my thumbs if I'm doing a full day of readings with this deck, because the cardstock is not very giving. Like, it's not the thickest cardstock I've ever seen. I have oracle decks with thicker cardstock, but this is thicker than Llewellyn cardstock. And so I handed this deck to my husband and asked him, because he like really loves to just shuffle decks of cards, and he can do all the bridging and that I cannot do because of my connective tissue disorder and my arthritis. And so I was like, hey, can you work this deck and try to see if you can get it broken in a little more, despite the fact that I read with this all the time. But I gave it to him to see if he could break it in a little more. And even he, the Zombie Tarot is harder to break in than a Llewellyn deck. And I had him working on that deck for me. And then I gave him the Antique Anatomy deck here. And he said that this one honestly is the hardest of the three to riffle, shuffle, and bridge and all of that. Like, this one, like, he could tell the difference. He could tell that the other ones were easier to do that with. So he was like, I am not at all surprised that this one leaves blisters on your fingers and that you have a harder time shuffling this deck. Despite the fact that I have a hard time shuffling it the way I want to, this is still one of my all-time favorite decks. You can see the backs here are not reversible. Not a problem for me because I don't read reversals anyhow. But I know that some people that really does matter for. So I like the cardstock overall. because I have issues with arthritis and that, it is a little bit difficult for me to shuffle. Now, if it was my husband who was shuffling them every day, yes, he notices a difference. Yes, they are more resistant to being shuffled that way than some of my other decks. He, on the other hand, could shuffle this all day, every day, but I wind up with blisters and peeling skin on my thumbs because I just have a hard time with it, but I still love it. It is, like I said, I cannot say enough that this is one of my all-time favorite decks. And really the only complaint that I have ever seen is the cardstock, but I'm not sure, maybe these people were buying bootlegged copies, illegal reprints of the deck, and that's why they were getting such thin cardstock. I don't know, because this is not super thin cardstock. Some of you have heard us tarot readers on YouTube talk about the fact that YouTube is getting pickier about what decks we show on YouTube, especially if we want to be monetized, and we can't show like the Rider-Waite Smith because anything with bits and bobs, they've started to have an issue with. This deck, in a manner of speaking, is very YouTube friendly because it has no bits and bobs, but it does have, I mean, it is the Antique Anatomy Tarot Kit. The images are based off of antique anatomy drawings and antique uh, floral drawings. So there's a lot of body parts, so to speak. There's a lot of skeletons. Really, I think the only two that kind of have body to them are the Emperor and the Empress. The rest of them really are just skeletons. The suits are slightly different, but not really. You've got the rods, which is wands, and it's the old medical rods that they would use. You've got the elixirs, which are bottles, which represent the suit of cups. You've got discs that represent pentacles, and then you've got blades, which represent swords. So yes, they're slightly different, but it's easy to equate with traditional suits. The meanings in the book, if I recall correctly, some of them are a little bit off of the traditional, but y'all know me, I just do my own thing anyhow. I did enjoy like the color correspondence thought that she had there, but I read it as I would any other deck, or intuitively also the vibe I get from the cards. There's a few of the elixirs bottles that actually have words on them, and so I like to sometimes tie that in with my interpretations as well. But other than that, it's not a Rider-Waite Smith clone, but it's the Rider-Waite Smith system. So without any further ado, let's jump into the deck. That has been a look at the Antique Anatomy Tarot. I hope that you have enjoyed it. It is one of my all-time favorites. Can't say enough how much I love this deck. It does have one of my all-time favorite devil cards. The Suit of Elixirs is probably my favorite in this, but blades and rods are pretty good too. The discs are kind of but I still love this deck. I highly recommend it. Maybe it's because I'm a death witch, or maybe it's because as I'm recording this, we're heading into spooky season. But I am even more about this deck right now than I usually am, but I have loved it since I have purchased it. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel because it helps out so much. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below because I do love to hear from all of you. If you'd like to book a reading with me, remember, I will never DM you asking you to book a reading with me. But if you would like to do so, you can approach me to book a reading by using the link for my Etsy shop or my website in the description box. Don't forget to check out the link tree so that you can find me everywhere on the web, and consider joining the Discord because I do from time to time have hangouts in there where I offer free readings and I try to do some inspirational posts and stuff like that in the Discord. So until I see you again, my lovelies, blessings to you wherever your journey finds you.